Fall is in the air and hockey is right around the corner. Today on Locked On Boston Bruins, we are doing a 2023 fall preview.
You're Locked On Bruins, your daily podcast on the Boston Bruins. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, Bruins fans, and welcome back to the Locked On Boston Bruins podcast. I'm your host, Ian McLaren, and this is a daily show where we discuss all things Spoked B. Today is Tuesday, August 29th, and I want to thank you so much for making Locked On Bruins part of your day every single day. How do you do that? Well, you go to your favorite podcast app, you go to YouTube, you search up Locked On Boston Bruins, you hit the subscribe button, and each new episode is automatically added to your feeds for you to download, listen, enjoy. If you could also rate and review, that would be very much appreciated. Again, free and available wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. Today on the podcast, we are doing a quick fall preview. Look it up. What's coming up here in the next few weeks in anticipation of a brand new NHL season. Yesterday, we did our off-season review, looking at who left, who's in, and what the outlook is for the upcoming season for our Boston Bruins. Before we get into it, quick reminder, you can find the podcast on social media at Locked NHL Bruins. You can find me, my dad jokes, hockey thoughts, at Ian C. McLaren. Now, going on right down the road from me today is Guelph Storm training camp. Ontario Hockey League teams gathering for their training camps. And, of course, on the ice today here in Guelph is Boston Bruins prospect Matt Poitras. He is a second-round pick from the 2022 NHL entry draft. A lot of people fired up about his progress, his appearance at development camp back in July. And while he is on the ice here in Guelph, believe he will be in Boston for training camp. And he will also be part of the 2023 Prospects Challenge. And that's first up on the schedule for the Boston Bruins coming up here in just a couple weeks. On September 15th to 18th, that's a Friday through a Monday, 2 weeks from now, the Bruins will take part in the 2023 Prospects Challenge in Buffalo. It'll be Boston's 8th consecutive appearance at this particular Prospects Challenge. There's a few different ones around the NHL, one in Traverse City, Michigan. In this particular tournament, the Bruins will compete against prospects from the Buffalo Sabres, the Montreal Canadiens, the New Jersey Devils, Ottawa Senators, and Pittsburgh Penguins in a round-robin challenge. The roster will be released at a later date, but we can expect Matt Poitras, Fabian Lysell, hopefully Mason Lohrei as well. And let's not kid ourselves. If you've been reading various outlets over the summer doing their prospect rankings, Boston routinely coming in at or near the bottom in these rankings. Boston's prospect pool is relatively thin, and that's a product of having traded away numerous first round, second round picks in recent years in an attempt to put together the best possible roster for the playoffs. You make trades at the trade deadline, sacrificing futures in order to put your best foot forward in that particular year. Unfortunately, it hasn't worked out for the Bruins in terms of Stanley Cups. But despite being ranked very low, the Bruins still have some intriguing prospects that will be fun to watch. Again, Matt Poitras should take another step forward here in Guelph. He had a ultra successful draft plus 1 year, 19 years old. You could argue that he belongs in the AHL. He should come back and could challenge for an OHL scoring title and maybe even 100 points. So that's exciting. Fabian Lysel's taking the next step. Mason Lohrei. There's some guys that we want to see how they stack up against other prospects. And we'll get a chance Friday, September 13th, Penguins prospects versus the Bruins prospects. That will be the first time we see black and gold back on the ice here in the fall of 2023. Saturday, they'll take on the Canadiens prospects, and then they'll wrap up Monday against prospects from the New Jersey Devils. So that's what's up first for the Boston Bruins. There's other junior players gathering for training camp around Ontario, Western Hockey League, over in Quebec as well. My focus will be on Matt Poitras, seeing as I am in Guelph, put in my CHL, OHL media accreditation application today. Hopefully we'll be at the rink here soon. So that's what's coming up first for the Boston Bruins. Prospects Challenge. Again, Poitras at OHL training camp. Guys usually gather early for these and then make their way to Boston. Maybe he'll get a 9-game look if he impresses at training camp. I kind of think it's a bit too soon for him to be at the NHL level, but Matt Poitras should be back in the OHL and dominating things on a nightly basis. Don't forget, last season, he was so prolific offensively, but he got off to a slow start. He was suspended a couple times for slew foot incidents. Take those out. And if he hits the ground running this season, he should have a very, very good year for the Guelph Storm. Coming up next, we are going to discuss some of the training camp battles that we can expect to take place, who's fighting for spots on the team, and we'll discuss that here coming up after the break. Get ready for a brand new football season with incredible offers from FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Plus, all customers who bet $5 will get $100 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Now is the best time to join FanDuel. The app is easy to use, and you can bet on everything from spreads to player props and more. All you have to do is visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and kick off the NFL season with an offer you won't want to miss. Again, new customers bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Plus, with that $5 bet, you'll get $100 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. FanDuel, the official partner of the NFL. Thank you so much once again for making Locked On Boston Bruins part of your day every single day. The podcast is free and available on your favorite podcast app as well as on YouTube. There will be no new podcast tomorrow, Wednesday, August 30th. It's our middle son's birthday, so we're heading into Toronto for a baseball game and a meal at his favorite restaurant, which happens to be Boston Pizza, I think. And then we'll be back later this week to bring you all the latest on the Black and Gold as we ramp up towards the aforementioned Prospects Challenge, as well as official training camp, which should get underway during the week of September 18th through 22nd. And we got some insight into what the lines might look like for the Boston Bruins when things get underway. We'll talk about the exhibition schedule coming up later on in the podcast, but Jim Montgomery speaking to Steve Conroy of the Boston Herald the other day, shared some of his early thoughts on what the lines might look like. Top six appears to be pretty well set. Pavel Zacha will center a line with David Pastrnak and veteran free agent signing James Van Riemsdyk, expected to get the first shot on the left-hand side there. Bruins are going to need Van Riemsdyk to finish his chances and make sure Zacha and Pastrnak continue to thrive for the Boston Bruins. Whether or not he sticks in that prominent role will remain to be seen. He had only 12 goals and 17 assists in 61 games for the Flyers. He did have 24 the year before that. If the Bruins can get that kind of production out of JVR, then, they're laughing here on his $1 million contract. The other top six line, you can argue which one of these is number one, number two. Brad Marchand will be on the left side with Charlie Coyle at center and Jake DeBrusk on the right. This combo got some time together late in the regular season and in the first round of the playoffs with Patrice Bergeron out. Fairly effective, and we'll see if that can continue. Jim Montgomery keeping Brad Marchand on one line, David Pastrnak on another in an attempt to spread out their two best players and set up the new top two centers, set them up for success. Following that, bit of a work in progress, how things will shake out. There's a lot of opportunities for players that are returning, he said. AJ Greer, Jacob Lauko, Trent Frederick, who they think is going to be a big part of the third line. But who plays with who? That's the big question. We'll likely see Morgan Geekie and Trent Frederick paired together on the third line. But who's on the left side? Up in the air. What the fourth line looks like also is anybody's guess. Milan Lucic, Jesper Boqvist, Alex Chiasson, who came in on a PTO, Patrick Brown will be competing for some of those bottom six jobs, as well as youngsters like John Beecher, Georgi Merkulov, Mark McLaughlin, perhaps even Matt Poitras. It appears as though the roster that they have set at the moment is what they're going to have moving forward. Jim Montgomery told Conroy, quote, "In my mind, this is our team. Ever since Krejci made it official," David Krejci, of course, retiring a couple weeks ago, "we'd been thinking that this would be our team, and they've been preparing this way since mid-June," end quote. So there's a lot of moving parts in the bottom six, a lot of moving parts in terms of who might be up, who might be down. AHL, NHL, OHL, the defense and goaltending pretty much set with a lot of guys returning at both of those positions. The one big change would be Kevin Shattenkirk coming in for Connor Clifton, but otherwise it's your Derek Forborts, Matt Grzelcyk, Brandon Carlo, Hampus Lindholm, Charlie McAvoy rounding out the top six, with Jeremy Swayman and Linus Ullmark locking down the crease. So the top six, again, pretty much set with Marchand, Coyle, DeBrusk, Van Riemsdyk, Zacha, Pastrnak, and then a lot of guys looking to make an impact and step in and secure a spot in the bottom six. And that's really where you're going to see some guys potentially surprise, some guys who we think might get some spots lose out. With those minimum contracts, they're easily variable. And I'd love to see a guy like maybe even Chiasson takes a spot. Jesper Boqvist make some noise and surprises in training camp. And they'll get a chance to show what they have in game situations with the exhibition schedule beginning on September 24th. And we'll take a look at that here coming up after the break. All right, the Boston Bruins will be in training camp, probably beginning around September 19th. The Prospects Challenge wraps up on the 18th. Guys will gather for some workouts, practices. I mean, they'll probably start gathering the week of maybe September 4th after Labor Day. Guys will start to trickle in. There'll be some informal sessions the week of the 11th to the 15th as they ramp up towards a 6-game exhibition schedule, which begins on September 24th at home against the New York Rangers, 5 p.m. Eastern Time on Sunday, September 24th. Then they will travel to Buffalo to take on the Sabres on Tuesday, the 26th. Back home on Friday, September 29th to take on the Flyers. They will head to Philadelphia to take on the Flyers on Monday, October 2nd. Back home on Tuesday, October 3rd to take on the Washington Capitals. And then they will wrap up the exhibition schedule Thursday, October 5th at Madison Square Garden against the New York Rangers. They will get 5 days off over Canadian Thanksgiving, and the puck will drop on a brand new season on Wednesday, October 11th at home against the Chicago Blackhawks. A bit of an interesting start as the Bruins will host the Blackhawks, host the Predators on the 14th, which is the Saturday, and then they will head out west for a California road trip for games 3 through 5, and then in Chicago before heading home to take on the Anaheim Ducks. They actually don't play an Eastern Conference team until game number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, when they will host the Detroit Red Wings on October 28th. So they will take on 7 Western Conference teams to begin the schedule. Congrats to the NHL schedule makers for making things just so weird as they do every single year. Really no logic to the Bruins or to the NHL schedule. The Bruins, of course, will also be unveiling some Centennial season looks. They will have new jerseys coming up this season, which we can expect to be unveiled, I would imagine, prior to the exhibition season. I'm very excited about what's to come there. You can see, those of you watching on YouTube, I'm wearing Spoked B, the 90s look with the yellow B. I expect that to be the logo, as you can see that firmly planted on their website at the moment. The Bruins Centennial. I have a Centennial wallpaper on my phone at the moment, and very much looking forward to the looks that they unveil for this season. That's going to be one of my favorite things. It's going to be hard not to get some merch there in the way of new hats, new toques. Way too many Bruins toques already upstairs, but I mean, it's so hard to resist. Anyways, that is a quick fall preview. You know, I've been reading a lot of AV Club lately, looking at fall preview movies, TV shows coming up. Very still excited about what's to come for the Boston Bruins. It's going to be a new experience for us. No Patrice Bergeron, no David Krejci, but tale as old as time. As fall starts to come, no matter what the outlook is for the Boston Bruins, I always get excited for some new Boston Bruins seasons to arrive. Look, a lot of people were writing the Bruins off this time last year. There's even more reason to this year, but they surprised. I have faith in Jim Montgomery, in the goaltending, in the defense especially, and we'll see what they're able to do here coming up in 2023-2024. That's it for today, my friends. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. We'll talk to you again soon here on Locked On Boston Bruins, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Harvey's here.